Hi guys, and welcome to episode 3 of Rally the Creed Live. This is our weekly Assassin's Creed discussion where we bring on members of the community and discuss all things Assassin's Creed. Tonight I'm with the ones who came before member, Calvin Whiteway. Please welcome.
Hello.
Hi Calvin, how are you, mate? We finally got there through the technical difficulties. We battled our way through and we finally got here. So how are you? Please can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got involved in Assassin's Creed?
My name's Calvin, and I've just kind of like been a fan my whole life, and it kind of made me just enjoy history and just kind of that creative attitude of it, and I just love it. And the old ones especially, they go back, and it's quite nostalgic for me. So again, I can't complain. I enjoy it, and you guys reached out one day, and I do like content creation for my own business. And then it just kind of escalated from there. Started doing some skits and reels and kind of just got involved a bit more. And and obviously happy to help when I can. But obviously life's been a bit busy, so it's been kind of hard to kind of manage doing stuff for you guys. But like I say, getting on there and just trying to progress and do more.
It's great to have you on, and I'm glad that you mentioned the business as well because it's been thriving recently. So I was wondering if you could tell us the sort of video projects you've been working on. Because from what I can see, it's a lot of things. It's like real variation.
Yeah. So just my whole life, I've just been going from dead end jobs one to another. And then I had a friend who did the same thing, and just I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna start my own thing, and inspired me to do it. And I just cw.content on Instagram, and I just want to thrive doing stuff I love and doing a job one day that doesn't feel like work. I love it, and being in front of the camera, being behind the camera, I just love it. Making videos for businesses, editing, being creative. I just love it. It's just me, and I just thrive off doing it. So I thought, why not try to push it? And I started it at the end of November last year, and it's just been kind of going up from there. Pretty good. Yeah,
That's really good. And like from what I see on Instagram as well, there's like such variety. Like 1 minute you'll be doing a wedding, the next minute you'll be doing like a festival. Like it really is like a bit of everything.
So I'm just trying to get like my name out there. So I'm trying to get like so many gigs, doing different things, just to kind of have as many niches on my account as I possibly can. Because obviously, the more you do, the more people see, the more they think, oh, this guy is multitasking, you can do different things, and then you're kind of worth more. And it's good. And I'm still investing. I've recently just spent like over 800 quid on this lens, which is not even that big, but it's mental. So it's got to be worth it now. So
That's cool. And the way we met, I guess, was your skits. If people know what they are, it's almost like a video meme. Like they're like a short few seconds. Like they can be parody. Sometimes you do characters. Like it's hard to explain if you haven't seen them. But I was scrolling TikTok one day looking for new members of the ones who came before video content creation team. And it was like, we're looking for streamers, we're looking for like a bit of everything, to be honest. We've got music creators. And I came across one of Calvin's skits. And it was something we were lacking because we didn't really have a lot of personality on the TikTok. A lot of it was like, like behind like gameplay and stuff. So we wanted to really put like people's faces on the TikTok and do something different. So that's when I reached out, and then we've worked together on loads of projects. Like currently we're working through, it's going to be Black Flag theme soon in case a remake or a remaster is announced. We worked through Valhalla and sort of looking backwards at some of the older games as well. And I've done a bit of everything now, really. I mean, you've got quite the wide variety of skits. Sometimes you do the characters, like I say, and it's almost like you become a different person by like changing your outfit and your hair and stuff. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's just like you end up like talking to yourself and doing skits, but then like in my head, I'm like, right, this clip goes there. I know how it works, and then it's good. I made some good stuff and made some funny stuff, and it's just there's a lot more to still do though, and
Cool.
it's going from there. So it's why I want to do a bit more and get involved and do stuff like live streaming as well. So
I also enjoy you do the parkour ones as well.
I wouldn't say parkour, but
They're good fun and we enjoy it.
Dramatically parkour, like there's no exercise or movement in there at all. Like
It's good fun. And I'm glad before you mentioned that you're very nostalgic about the older games, because that's what I wanted to dive into. Because in
Oh
the
yeah,
last two episodes, we've sort of been looking at the future of Assassin's Creed, where in this one, I wanted to discuss the past and what
great.
makes it so special, I guess. And going
Mm.
back to your Assassin's Creed journey, would you say it was around the release of like Brotherhood Revelations or a little bit later?
Honestly, probably second Assassin's Creed 2. That was probably what strived off. I think the first one, I'll tell you, I didn't really get into that one much, even though that's probably one of the OGs. But I think it's kind of like Ezio Auditore that kind of made me was like, wow, this
Yeah,
guy is cool. This guy knows a kick bum, and it was just from then on, yeah. And then again, I got into like trophy hunting as well. So
nice.
like, I was a lonely kid, okay? I was a nerd, and I just stayed in and did that kind of stuff. So yeah, it spiraled on from then, and then as the games went on, even especially Assassin's Creed 3, probably one of the best ones, even though it's so like underrated. But we could talk about that a bit later. Yeah, no, good, very good. Love the old ones, man. Oh my god, so
Yeah.
nostalgic and
And this comes through in your content as well. There's obviously a lot of love for the older games, and
oh,
definitely very
100%.
reflective about that in your work, I'd say.
Yeah, I think no matter how hard Ubisoft try with the new ones, they never beat the original. Don't get me wrong, Ubisoft are great and they're bringing out the games and they've got a lot more new games coming out. But I think people just relate to the nostalgic of the old ones and they have that kind of like connection with them. I think that's the big part of it, and obviously gaming as well. Just in that period was so different compared to now. I feel like it's quite competitive, and people try to follow trends and stuff where they should kind of like instead of follow, make their own thing, and then make that kind of stand out. And
I feel like you've answered my next question really well. I was going to say what is different between the older games and the newer games, but I feel like you've covered that really well.
yeah, I
That's
think
100% it, isn't it? I mean, even like looking back on like your childhood, and you just think
yeah,
of like
and then
the
they
first
just kind
time
of
you can probably
follow.
remember the first time you played an Assassin's Creed game, where you were, who bought it for you, and it does sort of like relate in that way.
Yeah,
Lots of love hearts and roses coming in. Thanks, guys.
yeah, it's just like it's very RPG'd, and don't get me wrong, I do understand. But they just need to bring it back. Bring it back to like how they originally did it. People would go ape for that. I know they would as well.
Yeah.
You know.
And
But
this is sort of touches on what we were discussing last week. It was me and James. It was should they remake and remaster the older games, or should they bring back characters from the older games and give them like a conclusion and an ending? So if you look back on some of the characters that were left without an ending, and there was tons of them really. There's like Connor, for example, Assassin's Creed 3. We don't know how he died. There's loads of people, and like you look back on like Arno and all these, and
yeah,
comment from James. I don't think the originals would hold up today. I mean, this is a fair point. Would they have to change the games massively to hold them up to today's standards? But what sort of thing would you want, Calvin? Would you want a complete remaster and remake, or would you want new stories for these characters, or even like
um,
spin-offs? How would you do it?
the only thing I worry about is with like remasters. Like they did Assassin's Creed 3 remastered, and that just didn't get any publicity. It didn't get shown, and people didn't really seem to care. And yeah, I'd worry that if they. Oh my God, what was
Cheers,
that?
guys.
If
Lots of
they were,
guests coming in.
oh my God, if they were to release like
That
uh,
smashed it. We hit the
number
goal.
two, for example, and
Yeah.
remaster that, I'd worry about. I don't know. I don't really know how to explain it,
You
but
don't want to sort of damage the
yeah,
reputation,
and
nostalgia.
you don't
Like
want it to, you don't want it to
you
look
sort of
money grabbing as well. But at the same
yeah,
time,
yeah,
everybody would love Assassin's Creed 2 or Black or a Brotherhood remaster.
yeah.
100%.
That'd be cool.
That would be so cool.
And what would you add? Like maybe like new parkour systems, like with today's parkour, or even new combat systems, or would that make it too different from the original?
I think you want to kind of keep it same but different. You want to touch up the quality, the graphics, other bits and bobs. We want to kind of keep it similar to the previous game because then it's not remastered. Then you
Yeah,
just got the same game but changed it. So I would love. I know I like the idea of bringing back characters,
Cool.
I think especially when a person or a group of people get connected with a certain character and want to thrive from that. And Ezio, he got 3 games because people loved him so much they wanted him back again and again, and people didn't complain. So if they did that again with a character that someone got to really love, it could potentially lead to the franchise or the company progressing and doing better, maybe.
I guess the closest we've had recently, which ties into something I really want to talk about, is Basim, who was introduced in Assassin's Creed Valhalla and then got his own spin off game in Assassin's Creed Mirage. Now, Calvin, have
Yeah,
you played Mirage?
yeah, completely, mate.
Oh, I'm
Platinum
so glad.
trophy,
I was
everything.
worried that I was going to like dip
Yeah,
into spoiler territory because
yeah,
this
no,
is sort of a game that was really different to the RPGs because it really felt like a fan letter. So it was almost like
mm,
fans had like sat down and written like, what would you like in a modern Assassin's Creed game? And it was obviously like improved stealth, parkour, and that game really delivered on that front. So
yeah.
I had a request in the Discord for the ones that came before, and it was, can I discuss my Assassin's Creed Mirage experience? Because I only completed it on Wednesday. And even though the
Oh,
game's been out since 2023, I was heavily involved in the marketing for the game. I did a lot of work with
mm,
Ubisoft. In sort of went through like voice actor channels and managed to get interviews and stuff. Did a ton of things relating to marketing the game, and then it came out. But the real reason why I never completed it is because I was enjoying it too much, and I didn't want to like damage my experience, if that makes sense. So I'd always have that game to go back to because it was just so good compared to like Valhalla in terms of like the stealth aspect. So I knew I'd always have that game I could jump back to. So that's why I never completed it. So I have finally committed myself to playing Assassin's Creed Mirage and finishing it. I basically I thought it was one of the better modern games. I really was impressed with it. The parkour system. I felt like Basim was one of the quicker characters we've had. Obviously, not compared to like Narway in Assassin's Creed Shadows that's just come out because that's another level. But I was really impressed how it sort of reflects back to the older games. Like it's a 300-year gap between Mirage and Assassin's Creed 1. So Basim is sort of like that middle ground, the crossover between the hidden ones and the assassins. He's in that middle, the establishing the brotherhood, going from the hidden ones and just sort of going from like an all out, we are the assassins, like they're not afraid to hide, to they're literally destroyed and they have to go underground. So that was sort of the interesting thing for me. But I did have a few things about the game I wanted to pick up on. And Basim, I wondered maybe if they would change his voice. So as you get to the end of the game, I was wondering when Loki takes over if they would get Carlo Rota back, and I thought that would have been a really cool thing to do because then that proves that his character is fully transformed into the Loki Basim that we know in Valhalla. But that doesn't happen, and you still get the excellent voice performance from Lee Marshdow. But I think that would have been something interesting, especially when Enkidu, the eagle, flies down and slices his face at the end. And that's sort of like accepting that Basim has changed. He's now got a new personality within. And I think they could have really picked up on that and had the voice. But I guess what they're going for there is that his voice is different with age, a bit like Ezio. But that would have been something I'd have been interested in seeing, and maybe in like a maybe they could do DLC content for Mirage that could cover this.
yeah.
But it's
I
just that I guess it's a nitpick more than anything.
I think as well with that they wanted to have 2 separate Basims. They wanted a kind of like a before and after. They don't want to merge the games together in the sense of bringing the voices in or kind of doing that. 'Cause they want it to be their own separate thing. So see, Basim in Valhalla is one compared to him in Mirage is a completely different
Yeah,
kind of character. And if they were to kind of similar or relate that, I don't know, it might not work with the people or just with the company making the games.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I liked Mirage. I thought it was different. I didn't really like Basim's character in Valhalla, so I think it was probably a massive put off for people playing Mirage,
A few
which
people
is a
said that.
shame. Yeah, which is a shame because his, like say, was kind of like the closest parkour to like the old games like we used to have,
Yeah.
and like, they probably everybody turned a cheek, but because they knew it was about Basim, who was in Valhalla, which he
Mm-hmm.
technically, theoretically speaking, was a bad guy.
I was going to say he is
People didn't
technically
like
the
that, and I
antagonist
think
of
it
the
kind of put
game.
people off. But I do like the streets of Baghdad, and that was just kind of really cool experience going through there, and some of the parkour felt really smooth. So yeah, they did a good job, but I just think it was kind of like a bad start to giving a character the chance to prove something, in his own
Yeah.
game as well.
And it was
So
quite a short game as well. I mean, by the time I'd finished it, it was about 13 hours total. So not the longest game out there, really,
yeah,
when you think about it. And I've still got like additional side missions and stuff,
yeah,
but you're the trophy hunter.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, I don't. It all depends on people. Because like me, I like to enjoy a game. I don't like rushing it, especially if it's like Assassin's Creed. I like just to kind of like play it when I have the time, sit there, kind of enjoy it instead of like sweat it out, try to do it in so many hours, and then boom. Which is okay. People do that, but yeah, I think it's kind of got a bit of a bad rep from Valhalla, and then it kind of put people off. Yeah, but
I
like I
guess the
say,
hard thing for me as well with like enjoying games is that I'm expected to write a review every time a game comes out.
mm,
So this is technically my second playthrough because the first playthrough was basically like I'd play for like 10 minutes, write a ton of notes, and then
yeah,
do the same and same again until I've formulated like a written review that can come out for launch. So this is like the first time playing it for enjoyment, but the first time it's almost like work, if that makes sense. So you don't
I
enjoy it
think
as
I think that's
much.
what kills it as well, because there's work and then enjoying something, and you can do both. But if you're just solely on purposely, right, I need to do this, I need to get this done for
Yeah.
work, get it out, then there's no that kind of like that first feeling, because that first time playing, you're in that first moment. You're playing one of the new games that you've got that you're excited and passionate about. You
Yeah.
should go in just full, like just with a clear mindset and clear attitude, and just like enjoy it instead of seeing it as work. But I obviously do get it, especially if you need to get it out to the public, to the viewers, to the followers of the creed. So
That's it.
there's like good and there's advantages and disadvantages of doing it.
That's a good way of looking at it. And the other thing I often encounter is basically knowing the ending before the game's even out.
That's
This is
even
that.
worse too, 'cause you haven't even played through it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
this
bet.
happens so many times. Like I'll be reading they always send out like a press release to all the early access content creators, and it'll
Mm,
basically say like things you can discuss and things you can't discuss. And in the things you can't discuss, there's normally like here's the ending, here's like a death that happened, and it's like oh, like, I've just literally read in bullet points what's going to happen in this game I'm about to
yeah,
play, and it sort of like takes away from the experience a bit. But you have to read it, or you won't know what you can and can't discuss when you're writing a review. But this is all just like content creation problems. But
at least you left a nice little gap from playing it first time to now, because it's kind of like you've forgotten about it. You can refresh your memory by replaying it and just kind of like say lean back and just enjoy it instead of like stressing about trying to get it all out.
yeah, well, I did really enjoy it overall. And another thing I wanted to discuss is the importance of Roshan, who also appears in Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So she had a mission in that. But I also really enjoyed her character and especially the voice performance. So I just thought that was really great. Anyone in the chat, I'm sure you guys know how important Roshan was to that story. And
So
would you
go on.
guys be interested in more Roshan content? I know a lot of people were really, in particularly, pressed with her robes, and especially like the white and the red. And it was a little bit different to something we'd seen before. It was a clear master assassin. Oh, interesting, controversial opinion from James. I feel she's a wasted character. Expand. James is
Legend.
like the opposite of my opinions on a lot of things. It's always really interesting. Why do you think that, James?
We're all entitled to our own opinion about things.
Absolutely.
There's no, people argue and get angry over stuff. It's like, if she's a wasted character, that's okay. But
Oh,
someone else
isn't
might really like it. So
yeah. I think he means in the sense that he really enjoyed it and would have liked a bit more content from her. And I think that's a really
mm,
good point because a Roshan DLC would have been great. I know she's a bit of an older character, but she has got a book out, so it would have been cool to sort of go back and maybe cover the book in like game
mm.
form. I believe she was a slave that was freed.
So my question is to you, what is your favorite Assassin's Creed?
Ooh, this is a
I
tough
want to hear your
question.
favorite one. Oh,
People
like
ask me this all the
the
time.
one,
Honestly, it
the
depends
one
on
you
the
want to
week.
turn on. You're having a bad day at work. You turn on. You get your feet on the sofa. You're playing. You're like, this is it. This is the game.
I think it's Brotherhood, you know. I think I get the most
Really?
enjoyment out of Brotherhood. I think Rome is a special city for me as well because I've been 3 times now. It's where I proposed, the Colosseum, I've done the tour. And just even like playing the game there and going there, it looks
It's
exactly the same,
super.
even though it's 500 years in the past. And you go there and you just feel like you know the place. Do you know what I mean?
Mm. Yeah, because you've been climbing all those rooftops, mate. Yeah. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
it. How about you?
Um, Joe, I love it. Like I said, I love Ezio. You know, he is the GOAT. He is the guy who essentially he is the Assassin's Creed. Like he's this game.
Yeah.
But recently I've been getting a bit obsessed with Assassin's Creed 3. Oh
Oh,
my,
really?
yeah, mate.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it's so cool. And yeah, I'd say that's probably the I did a remastered one, so probably that one.
It's not always got the best reputation either, AC3.
I could talk about that. We could talk about it now if you want.
Yeah, yeah. Why is it you enjoy it
But
so much then?
before I say anything, I just want to show you this.
Yeah.
So I got this pendant made, right?
Ah, nice. Connor's
You're
tomahawk.
gonna love it, Rare. So look, if you can't really see, but
That's great.
my partner made it for me. Uh,
That's great.
1 year. And it's based on Connor's tomahawk. Look how cool that is. The only one in the world. You can't really see because the quality of it, but and it's got a little feather in the end as well.
Oh, that's so
It's like,
cool. And what is it
mate,
made of?
it's silver, mate. Sterling silver. She's a jeweler. She
I
made
was
it.
going to say, is she like a
Cast it out.
blacksmith or something? That's just
Yeah,
jeweler. That's great.
mate. It's gangster, man. I love it. Um,
That's fantastic.
yeah, it's cool. Save that. Yeah, I think Assassin's Creed Connor gets a lot of backlash for the way his character is. You know, he's too angry, he's too stubborn, and all this other stuff. But if you think about it, the amount of trauma, he's gone through, and the amount of misled in his life he's gotten, his dad's a Templar, and
Yeah.
obviously his dad probably was never there. He lost his mum when he was very young. So he's obviously out for hatred. Then obviously his village burned down not once but twice.
Yeah.
And just very lost with life. He was climbing around, being a provider, and then suddenly came across this opportunity to learn to become an assassin. So yeah, I think Connor got misled, and I don't know, just he didn't give much love that I thought he should have, and I think that's where, although I love, obviously the Ezio trilogy, I think Connor number 3 is like somewhere in my heart, man. I'm wearing the pendant, so it makes sense, right?
I
But
think
yeah,
it was hard for him as well because he came off the back of Ezio. So to follow up from
yeah,
such a well-loved
which is a
character.
hard responsibility in itself, So yeah,
And like you say, they went from like charming personality to like a more serious tone. Connor had all these awful things happen in his life, and that shaped
mm,
him. He was a very serious, stoic individual, but it's because of the environment around him and the events that shape him. So he did really struggle in his early years, and to become an assassin sort of gave him a new purpose where he could focus
mm,
on other things. And I guess he doesn't have to sit and think about the horrors that have happened in his past, really. Because, like you say, all these terrible things have happened. He never just sits still and thinks about his mum's death, really, because
yeah.
he's always on the move, he's always hunting. And I guess that gives him like a new outlook and perspective and like a goal.
I know it's out of context, but he's the most ripped assassin ever to be in an AC game. I'm just saying, his forearms are bigger than my future, and that's saying something. And I was like, yeah, fair play to him. So, but yeah, I think there's a lot of backlash for Connor, and a lot of not enough love showed, and just it's annoying. But also the game as well. I think if it was made today, if AC was made today, it'd be a lot different reactions and love towards it than it was back then. Maybe.
Yeah, it's difficult as well because it's a time period that people are quite familiar with. Where
Mm,
some of the Ezio games you might not be as familiar with, but I think most people know about the creation of America and obviously the wars over there.
yeah.
And yeah, it's difficult because he is like a minority group and sort of their perspective on it as well. So it is really tough because obviously there was the horrible thing, the tragedies that happened in the forest, and there's
Yeah,
these trees, and at times it does feel like he's just doing everyone else's work and like doing jobs for everyone else, but not really focusing on himself because he's like the errand boy for a lot of the game. And for some people, Ezio obviously made all his own decisions, where Connor, a lot of the decisions are made for him. So it's
yeah.
like a different take on it.
I'd love to see, and it's probably too late, but I'd love to see Connor pop up again.
Yeah, I
That
think
would
I
be
think it'd be
so
interesting.
goated. He did in that DLC like Assassin's Creed Liberty, where you
Yeah,
play
yeah.
as what's her name? I can't remember her name.
Liberation with Avalon, was
Yeah,
it?
that's Evelyn, and he was like a
Yeah.
relate. She's related to Connor, and he was in that. But other than that, that's all you see. But I'd
It's
love
a
to. And
shame,
they
really.
say don't know how
This
he
is like we said
died
before, isn't
either.
it? Where they don't finish stories for characters.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's
I
a
think
shame, really. And he's another one that we'd love an ending for. But like you say, it might be too late now. I mean, they did sort of give Connor a reference in a book that I have. It's the Abstergo Handbook. Oh,
mm,
James says nothing's too late. They can always revisit a different time. And it's like that. Yeah, I mean, Connor in his 60s as a mentor.
like Achilles was for him. That would
Oh,
be
that's nice.
awesome. Yeah,
That'd be cool.
that would be cool. Maybe like even just like a DLC, just so you get a bit more into it. Because
I
they say
remember
online, there's nothing about it, and you should write something about it. Really,
there was a really
finish it
good
off.
fan fiction years ago which sort of brought together Connor, Arno, and they were hunting down Shay. So it was all relating to like the destruction of the American Brotherhood, and obviously Arno's father was killed by Shay, and that was the link between them. And they sort of
Mm,
travelled the world trying to take out Shay and his grandkids because they're
yeah,
Templars too in one of the books.
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, well, that was a weird time as well.
Yeah,
I don't know why Arno never went after Shay. You would think that would
yeah.
make sense, wouldn't you? Really, but then they completely changed the story from Unity and just completely made a different style to what people actually wanted.
Yeah,
Especially after
James
playing
says,
AC Rogue.
yeah, I enjoyed Rogue.
Mm,
It was a different perspective on the assassins. They're not always the good guys in quotation marks.
yeah, I
Maybe get
enjoyed that
called
too.
killing good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but
Protagonists.
that game was quite short as well.
Yeah, yeah. They tend to be doing this where there's like main games and then like shorter games, and it makes me wonder how long Hexa is going to be when it comes out. Is that going to be like a longer main game, or is that going to be like a smaller project?
I have a feeling it's could be smaller, but I don't know. We don't really know much about that, do we?
Not really, but I have to agree with you. I wouldn't be surprised if it's sort of like a Mirage length one, like a shorter one, and then there's like a main game in development. But like you
But
say, there's really few details around right now.
I don't mind that though. I'd rather play a game that's short but with an amazing storyline and characters that you love and adore, and that makes sense, than play a super long game that's too winded out and it gets to the point where you're just really bored of playing it and you don't have that connection. You know,
Yeah,
that's me personally, but
yeah, it's a good way of looking at it because a lot of games feel like huge, like empty spaces. And like if you're not relating to the character, you sort of get to the point where it's like, why am I playing this? What am I gaining
mm,
from this? And this sort of ties into another thing I wanted to discuss, and that was what would be your dream Assassin's Creed setting for either a game or the Netflix series? So, would you run with these older characters, or would you introduce new characters? What would be if you were in charge of Ubisoft?
bring Desmond back. Come on.
Really?
Yeah, bring him, mate. He was the absolute goat. Desmond Miles was the absolute goat, and then they killed him off in AC3. But then in the recent games, they brought this character back that is pretty much Desmond Miles,
Yeah,
but not the name. People would love that stuff, and essentially he didn't die. Well, he did,
yeah,
but like his spirit's still there, so there's potential to bring him back. I'm
yeah. I
just
see what you
saying.
mean. His body's gone, but it's like
Mm.
his spirit is caught in the grey. Could they find a way to, I don't know, maybe
And
use
bring a
some
real life
technology
Ezio
or
back in the Netflix
bring
series.
it
Bring
to,
Ezio in, man.
bring
Come
it
on.
to, man.
I just think that'd be cool. Like if they got all the games and for the series and they brought all the characters in real life from the series,
Yeah,
that would be cool.
that would be
That would be
cool.
cool. That
I
would
had
be
a
good.
mad idea earlier, and it was what if they did like a storyline where they had like Cassandra, who is eternal and can go out and find pieces of Eden. What if they did the same thing with Basim, where he was like
Mm.
frozen? What if they said you're free for 100 years to go and collect all the pieces of Eden and bring them here? And the idea was, what if you united all the pieces of Eden? What would happen? And it would be cool if you had like a temple where you put like the apples in, you put the staves of Eden, all the shroud, and you put them all in a line. And as they get put in, the assassin that encountered that piece of Eden comes sort of like, I don't know how to describe it, like appears, and then
Yeah,
you have a game with all the assassins that have ever been created, and they're all just in like one giant assassin brotherhood.
yeah. That sounds like some
Wild.
Squid Game stuff. You know what I mean?
Wild. I don't know
Yeah.
who would lead this like giant group of Assassin's Creed characters or who would be in charge. Probably Ezio. Oh, James says that's crazy. This is the sort
God.
of stuff that runs through my head. But
Yeah.
yeah, you can imagine if like you just have like all of them at once, and then it's like, right, we're in modern day now. We are
That's
like, we're gonna go get
that is
some
some
modern
endgame
tools,
stuff.
and
That is some endgame, man.
all of a sudden they strap Ezio up with like a gun and stuff.
No,
Wild.
that might kill it. They shouldn't do that. They shouldn't do that.
James is like, that's crazy. I'm here for it.
Game
Wild.
changer.
Yeah, that is a bit crazy, but maybe when they're done, they can send them back to their own timeline, so it doesn't like interrupt with the timeline too much. This is like alternate reality stuff, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but
But
I've
that
gone
stuff
I've gone
would
off
be
track.
quite fun.
I've made this question not so serious. So going back to the question, your
Yeah.
dream AC set in Netflix or a game, would you want
Um,
someone to play live action Ezio in the TV series, or do you think that could ruin it if they get the voice and the casting wrong?
yeah, casting's a big part of anything. If you go cast something off someone like a game or fictional character, then you should know what you're doing. They've made games based off movies
Yeah,
and they just haven't performed well enough because they got the wrong cast or they changed it. Like
it
The
was.
Last of Us, season one, Bella Ramsey playing Ellie. Yeah, that was good at first, but I just don't think over time it just didn't really suit. She did well, but for me, it just didn't really suit. So I think you've
Yeah,
got to
she
make
doesn't
sure
really
you
look like
know.
the character either. To be fair, I've seen that show, and
Yeah,
she doesn't particularly
yeah,
look like the character.
yeah. Well, it's even like the Uncharted movie. Tom Holland
Yeah,
smashed it, but
Tom Holland,
it wasn't
Mark
the
Wahlberg.
Nathan Drake. Yeah.
Yeah,
But yeah, I think you gotta have the right cast to do that. But obviously that's quite hard to find someone so specific like
I
him.
couldn't
Find
I
it,
couldn't sit here and tell you who the perfect Ezio would be in
Yeah,
live action. I think that's so difficult. I think this might be
mm,
why the Assassin's Creed movie sort of avoided that. I mean, Ezio
yeah,
was in Spain in that time period, hunting down Rodrigo Borgia and the family.
mm,
They could have easily introduced him in the movie, but like I said, I think it was very difficult. I mean, they did have like Arno Dorian, but played by Michael Fassbender. So it's like, would you
no,
want like a Michael Fassbender Ezio? Probably not.
mm,
No.
no, no. I
I
think
mean, Roger
that's
Craig
the
Smith,
movie. That's
maybe. I
got for
mean,
that.
he's obviously the voice actor. He's the only person who could deliver the voice. I mean, James says I think they should stay away from known characters. The only way I'd like a known character is if they did like a flashback scene and they're maybe facing the other way or something, or hidden or
Mm,
whatever, and they have the voice, like the correct voice actor,
yeah, there's ways to go about it, isn't there?
or like reading a note. Like at the start of Assassin's Creed Revelations, where he's reading the note to Sophia, and it's
Yeah.
like his voice. You'd obviously want Roger, because if they get the voice wrong, it would be like
Mm,
the Assassin's Creed Chronicles game all over. Where they just got a random voice actor to play Ezio. But the
yeah.
thing is, there was a fan, Luma, who got in touch with Roger and said, "Would you do these lines?" And he did it for free. So it's because he wasn't approached for the project.
Oh, really?
So that was really good to see it. And he sort of pitched it like, here's the true version of how the game should have been. Like, it's an
Mm,
Abstergo glitch. Here's what they don't want you to know. And then it like glitched out, and it was like Roger's voice giving Xiao Jun all the like training that she should have had. That was really cool.
yeah. Um, I keep trying to think about a setting in history that I would love an Assassin's Creed game to be in.
They're sort of taking through a lot of the main well-known historical time periods now.
I would love to see, obviously, Adewale. They had a DLC with him, but I'd love to
Freedom
see a
Strike.
game based in that era.
That's cool.
Obviously, because that's quite a deep era to kind of go down.
Yeah,
But from the DLC, you saw a little bit, but you didn't see as much as what actually happened during then.
yeah.
So yeah, probably maybe a game based on that.
That's cool. So
Maybe.
that would be that could almost act like a Black Flag 2.
Yeah,
That's
or
cool.
like maybe someone on there, maybe pirates again. I don't know. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. I'm waiting for James's comment because last week we were diving into it, and he is not a fan of Black Flag at all.
Oh
This is
really?
his favorite game. We had a really good back and forth about it. I'm waiting for no Black Flag 2, he says. I was waiting for it.
Imagined.
He's like, no,
Yeah,
not pirates again.
it's either really good or really bad. I think you get either one people who really like it or really don't. So there's never in the middle.
The Hidden Raven, welcome to the stream.
I
So
don't
for
know.
me, I sort of touched on this last week, and I thought about it a little bit. I've always wanted an Australian Assassin's Creed game, and I know there's not an
Really?
awful lot there in terms of like history that goes back years and years. But if you go back to like the 1800s, as the colonies, like the
Mm,
British establishing the colonies, and I thought it'd be interesting if maybe the reason Britain went across to Australia, obviously they were setting up prison camps and everything. I think it'd be really cool if they were looking for pieces of Eden or something, and the Templars sort of went to the other end of the world, and that's why they were doing it. It wasn't really to take the prisoners; it was actually to have like look for maybe like an Isu temple or something. But I don't know, maybe it's a bit silly, but maybe like boomerangs as weapons and
no, that's
uh,
not.
kangaroos and stuff. I don't know. I think it'd be really cool. I've always wanted one, and maybe like a cowboy sort of thing, but in Australia.
Yeah,
Is
cowboy.
maybe this is too far out?
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
Maybe.
anything works. And there's a big talk about like doing one based in World War Two or like the World
Oh yeah,
Wars.
that would be cool.
But it's quite. I feel like it's too modern, and the the whole point of AC is to go back in time, which it is going
Yeah,
back in time essentially. Obviously, the equipment, they had tanks, they had guns. It'd be hard to kind of like use hidden blades of stuff like that at that time.
yeah.
Um,
I
yeah,
think
I
with that
think
as well, they have to be very careful. We discussed it in the first and second one. Is they can't use like well, the characters isn't the right word because if you're looking at history, they can't use like targets who have relatives alive today. So they have to be
mm,
very careful because, like in Assassin's Creed Syndicate, a lot of the Templars in that were made up because they
yeah,
didn't want to offend anyone, any living relatives today. So World War Two as well, it's a very emotive era. There's
yeah.
still a couple people still around from the Holocaust, probably
It's a
getting
weird
on for
subject though, because obviously like during the games, every time you open the game, they always say this is based on a historical event, not everything's
yeah,
accurate.
of
And
course.
people forget that, and then they be like, "Oh my God, well, Grigor Borgia wasn't real." It's like, what? Calm down. It's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, people are just a bit extreme sometimes that kind of stuff, and it's just like, fair enough.
I guess the closest we're going to get with that was the Lydia Fry stuff in World War One. Even that
Mm,
was quite like controversial for people. Where you're
yeah.
playing as like it was Jacob's granddaughter, I want to say.
Mm,
Yeah, I mean that sort of dived into that bit of history, but I don't know if they'd go even further into the 1940s and do World War Two, even though it would be a really
yeah.
interesting time period. I'm really interested in. I know a lot of people
Mm,
are, and I know like a lot of people would be interested in it because I've seen the fan art and everything, but are you getting into sort of the territory there where it's too modern as like history goes because it's less than 100 years ago?
mm, yeah.
But I can
It's
see
a
the
hard one,
appeal
isn't
of
it?
it.
It's a hard one, isn't it?
Yeah, it is difficult. Uh, Other than
Maybe a
Australia,
caveman one, mate.
a caveman one,
Imagine that. Just think that'd be extreme. That'd be mental.
that would be a bit mad. I'd be sort of getting into like Far Cry Primal stuff.
Oh god, yeah, actually, yeah, never
But
mind.
then
Let's not do
I
that.
always
That's
wonder, were cavemen even a thing? I mean, if you think about it in Assassin's Creed, maybe it wasn't even a thing because you've got the Adam and Eve, and like
true.
if like
Yeah,
with the
true.
East creating the humans, were they even a thing? Like what?
Yeah.
When does that even happen? Like even like dinosaurs and stuff, are they a thing in Assassin's Creed? Because the East created the humans, and I don't even know
Mm.
how that lines up with time periods.
That does sound cool. That would be cool. T-Rex with a hidden blade.
Like,
Yeah.
and
Too
another thing
nice.
we were sort of discussing last week is what if they went like way into the future with things? Like they set an Assassin's Creed like hundreds of years in the future where Abstergo's basically won and everyone's got like a VR headset on and you have to like unlock people's consciousness because they're all like trapped in a simulation sort of thing.
Yeah.
That could be wild.
They kind of did that a little bit with Black Flags when you were playing as
Yeah.
like out of the world. It kind of gave you that kind of vibe. The people weren't trapped, obviously, but
Hmm.
yeah, no, yeah, no, I think it'd be too futuristic. I think I don't know, 'cause I guess they do have a bit of future and then the past in there as well. I don't know. I think people love that kind of balance of it. I feel like say, Black Flag, they kind of had too much of the present, especially when you didn't
Yeah.
have a main character. It was just like first person view. Um, yeah, I don't know. It depends on the characters and development of the game, playing, and if you're balancing out both time periods equally, then yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I have to agree. It is definitely about balance. And last week we sort of discussed the idea of having two TV shows on Netflix. So this was another one of my crazy ideas. It was what if they did like one TV show which was like a modern day one, and then another one that was like the past, and you had to watch it like one modern day episode, one past episode, and it was sort of like jump.
Mm,
You know, like it is with like The Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and all
yeah,
the CW shows because then it's sort of like optional, but it is like an ongoing thing, if that makes sense, like a recurring storyline.
yeah. Well, I guess they want people
Love that.
to continue walking, so they'd probably either split it halfway through or
Yeah,
leave cliffhangers, so you end up clicking the next episode anyway. So
yeah. Have you seen
no,
Westworld?
what's that?
Westworld, the
I've
show.
heard of it, but not actually seen it. No.
That's probably the show that I'm thinking of when I'm sort of
Mm,
suggesting this. That's probably the most similar to that. James says like the film Ready Player One. That's a pretty decent
yeah.
film. And then Hidden Raven says they tried this with Darcy. Thought I mentioned with Darcy. I think that's non-canon. Is that right? Is that the Watch Dogs thing they did? And it was really interesting. And it had like a shrine to the twins, if I remember right. Yeah, I didn't really play much of that, but I like the
Mm,
whole idea of like the modern day assassin. I think that's what the games are missing. That I mean, we sort of mentioned before Basim, and he is technically a modern day character now. I mean, he could go in the next game assassinate William Miles, and now he's running the Brotherhood in the past and the future.
I think William Mars be kind of retired at that point though, because obviously the years from the third one,
Hmm.
from Assassin's Creed 3 to now is like a time period. And obviously he was quite old then, but who knows?
Yeah,
Rebecca and Sean come up in the later ones at one point, don't they? So
yeah,
I guess anything's possible. What they need is just one protagonist that people can love, get
yeah,
a connection with, and instead of how they did it is like you can only see our ancestors' visions and past if you had their blood. But obviously, in the later games, they changed it so anyone can see their past. They should just bring it back to that, where
yeah.
like have something like Desmond and kind of like from then, and then bring it back with just one character, and then do a couple games with them and develop their story, and then you have like a beginning, middle, and end kind of thing.
I have to fully agree. And this is what James said last week. It was that Black Flag sort of opened the door to all these other RPG elements and sort of changed the franchise. And like you say, with the blood as well, this was a thing where you can now view anyone's memories and you could just be like this nameless protagonist in Abstergo and view anyone's DNA. And I
Yeah.
think that's still the case, really, like to some extent with the new Animuses and even in the movie, yes, they need the person there, but they don't even need them conscious. Like, I mean, it
Mm,
helps for synchronization, but they can still look through memories without.
yeah. What did you think of the movie?
I'm gonna die on this hill. I absolutely love the movie, and I know it had problems, but I think because I was so heavily involved in that one as well. I mean, I did loads of marketing for them. I met the director. Like, I was at all these events for it. I think it really maybe like I saw like a version of the movie that the public didn't see. So I saw like the love and like the effort that went in. And trust me, the finished product is not representative of what they originally had. It got massively cut down by editors. But if you watch like the deleted scenes that are on the disc, I think
Mm,
it was a really incredible project. But I still really like it because I sort of connect with it. Like, I thought Aguilar was a really interesting character, even though he had limited dialogue. I like the way it was set in the Moorish Spanish region, something we hadn't
mm,
seen before. I like his outfit, even though it's not the traditional white. And I've sort of struggled with it over the years because it's had such a bad reputation. It's had terrible reviews. But every time I watch it, I still enjoy it. I mean, there's a few
yeah,
cringe moments, like Cal Lynch always saying that he's hungry. It's a bit tough to watch. And then
yeah,
even like his attitude at times, but overall, I really enjoyed it, and it's probably the best modern day story we've had since Desmond. I mean, he
mm,
breaks out and he actually does a modern day mission, completes the mission, kills the target, takes a piece of Eden. That's more modern day action than we've had in probably the
yeah.
last 8 years.
Mm.
How about yourself?
I'm trying to remember it now, but I just remember watching it and being like gutted. Like,
Yeah, a lot of people were like this.
I think it was actually probably the Animus itself. They completely changed it to the
So
point
different.
where he was hanging off like this crane thing with
Yeah.
something stuck into him and all that stuff. And it was like, no, that's not what the Animus looks like. Where you get your
Yeah.
resources and information
Would you
from.
want to watch a man in a bed for 2 hours?
Yeah, but it's not the fact it's him in the bed. It's like it was just like like container that he was forced to put in, and just it would make sense. But I do understand why, and that's kind of I guess that kind of like torture aspect from it. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's
I feel
interesting.
like
Everyone's got their own perspective, and we're sort of touching on what James said last week. But yeah, movie's always going to be a controversial one. I think
mm,
whenever you watch it, if you're a fan of the series or not, like a lot of people have like the split between like the good and bad, and you can sort of see what worked and what didn't work. And even at the start with like the title scroll, which is very Star Wars, and you sort of
mm,
like, I'd rather you heard of the phrase where it's like show me, was it show me, tell me, where it's like
yeah.
they're writing so much when they could show us this and it'd be way better.
I think it was quite an experimental thing as well. Like this, their first movie they've done on this massive franchise,
Yeah.
and I think it was just more like an experiment. So they got to see what people liked, what people didn't, and I'm hoping that what they do is from all the feedback and reviews they got, that they can put this into the series on Netflix and evolve from that and make it better.
I fully agree. Hopefully they've learned a lesson with a lot of these things and it translates across because that's the next big Assassin's Creed project, I guess, in
I'll
terms
have
of
to
like
watch it again, but
mainstream.
so it
Yeah,
was I watched it when it came out, but I don't remember. It was a long time ago now.
we should do a watch along.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Well, I'm
Yeah.
gonna wrap it up there. Is there anything you want to say, Calvin, before we head off?
No, keep living by the creed, everybody, and enjoying it. And we got so much more content and stuff to keep updated with. Again, thanks, Carl, for having me, man. I appreciate it, and happy to do another one again in the
Absolutely. Well,
future. So,
thanks for joining. Very sorry about the technical difficulties tonight,
nah,
guys. Thanks for bearing with us. We got there
yeah,
in the end. Big welcome to all our fans. We have gained 500 followers since the last time we did one of these, so that's amazing.
let's
And
go.
next week on episode 4, we have YouTuber Hangry Higgs, who has a following on YouTube of 2,700, but his channel is really professional, detailed videos, analysis, guides. He does great coverage of Assassin's Creed and other games, so support him and you'll learn a lot more about him next week. Rally the Creed Live is back Sundays at 10 p.m. Thanks for joining us, guys. Massive thank you, Calvin, and we'll see you next week.
Ciao. Love to see
See
you
you soon,
guys.
Assassins.